Right, foundation to accounts. So basically, accounts is about two things. One is about making of accounts, which is in commonly commerce students call it as a bookkeeping, which is about making the financial reports, which are specifically three financial reports: income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow. We'll discuss about income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow. Uh, but in the accounting process, the bookkeeping will involve making of income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow. That is the daily transactions that company indulges into. For example, daily company would be paying, let's say, price, paying cost to the raw materials for the, I mean, paying to suppliers to buy the raw materials. Might be paying electricity bill. Might be paying labor cost daily. There could be some daily labors. All these daily transactions done by the company are recorded into the journal entries. Okay. At the end of the period, those journal entries are converted into something called as a ledger. Then ledger gets converted into something called as a trial balance. And then from the trial balance, we make the final income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow. So this process of journal entries, ledger, trial balance, and income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow. This complete process is called as bookkeeping process. Over here in this particular lecture, I'm not going to help you out with passing through the journal entries because that's the bookkeeping. Here, my intention in the this particular lecture and the next lecture is to help you out to understand the basic concepts of the accounts for especially science background students. Something like to help them differentiate, understand the differences between income statement, balance sheet, cash flow. What do you mean by account receivable? What do you mean by account payable? Why is there a balance sheet? Why is there a cash flow statement? So these are the things which I'm going to help you out. So basic questions which students ask me, ki, even if I don't know the like journal entries, ledger, trial balance, will I be still able to understand income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow? The answer is yes, you will be able to understand. You will be able to understand. You may not be able to make it from the scratch, but whatever income statement has been prepared by someone, you'll be able to properly understand it, even though you may not know the process of the journal entries, the ledger, and the trial balance. Okay, so we had yesterday around 15-minute session which got completely washed out because of the Wi-Fi. Washed out is the word in cricket. So it completely got cancelled because of the Wi-Fi. So I'm going to take it from the scratch. Okay. So income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow. We'll quickly discuss what is the implication of income statement. What does it tell? Income statement is about income. So whether income is positive or income is negative, that depends on sales versus expenses. Sales greater than expenses would mean positive income, which we commonly refer to it as profit. And sales less than expenses or expenses more than sales, we call it negative income, which is commonly called as loss. So sales higher than expenses, income positive, which we call it profit, or sometimes sales lesser than expenses, which we call it negative income, which we call it loss. So income statement is also called as profit or a loss statement because positive income is profit, negative income is loss. Okay, so we'll discuss income statement in detail. Balance sheet. Balance sheet will talk about from the date company started till today. From the date company started till today, how much company has made investment and how did it arrange money to make that investment. Two things. From the date company started till today, कंपनी ने कहाँ और कितने अमाउंट का इन्वेस्टमेंट किया, एंड सेकेंड वो इन्वेस्टमेंट के लिए फ्रॉम वेयर डिड कंपनी अरेंज मनी. Okay, so generally a company would invest into land because on the land they will have to construct a plant, and in the plant they will require machineries. So minimum required investment would be land, plant and machineries. ओके, एंड जो मशीनरी से प्रोडक्शन होगा, कभी एक्सेस प्रोडक्शन हो सकता है, दैट हैज टू बी स्टोर्ड इन अ वेयरहाउस, गोडाउन और वेयरहाउस, व्हाटएवर. सो दैट वेयरहाउस इज अ एडिशनल इन्वेस्टमेंट. Apart from that, there could be a corporate office. Not could be, there would be generally a corporate office. So they has to be investing into corporate office, so which is called as building. So land, plant, machinery, building, warehouse are minimum required investment for any manufacturing company. Obviously सर्विस इंडस्ट्री वाली अगर कंपनी होगा तो उसके लिए दे डोंट रिक्वायर अ मैन्युफैक्चरिंग प्लांट्स, दे डोंट रिक्वायर अ मशीन, बट स्टिल दे वुड रिक्वायर अ कंप्यूटर्स, एसी एटसेट्रा. सो दोज वर द मशीन्स ऑफ अ आईटी कंपनी. ओके, सो लैंड प्लांट मशीनरी में कितना इन्वेस्टमेंट किया है, दैट अमाउंट ऑफ द इन्वेस्टमेंट वुड बी अवेलेबल ऑन द बैलेंस शीट. ऑन द बैलेंस शीट यू विल गेट टू नो कि कंपनी ने कहां पे और कितना अमाउंट का इन्वेस्टमेंट किया है, where and how much the company has invested. So land में कितना इन्वेस्ट किया है, प्लांट में how much company has invested, machines में how much company has invested, that's going to be clear in the balance sheet. Okay, and ये इन्वेस्टमेंट करने के लिए obviously from where did the company arrange money, so that would also be clear in the balance sheet. Okay, when we discuss balance sheet, I'll talk about more in detail about it. Cash flow statement. This is a statement which is kind of feels to a science graduate or a engineering graduate that this is an unnecessary statement, and this is a statement which confuses many students from the science and the engineering background, because for science and engineering background कि अगर income positive है मतलब profit है तो obviously cash would be generated, और अगर income negative है that means loss है तो cash would be lost. So the science graduate generally link कि अगर if there's a profitable company then obviously a profitable company would be generating the cash, and a loss making company would be loser of cash. However, it is not that simple. In the income statement, which we're going to discuss in today's lecture, you will get to know that there are many things which are recorded as an expense for which actually no cash is paid. I repeat, in the income statement, there are many things which are recorded as an expense for which no cash is paid. And there are some other things जिसके लिए cash pay होता है या फिर कैश रिसीव होता है, बट दैट इज नॉट रिकॉर्डेड इन द इनकम स्टेटमेंट. आई रिपीट, देयर आर सम थिंग्स व्हिच फ्रॉम वेयर वी रिसीव कैश और वी पे कैश, बट दोस थिंग्स आर नॉट देयर इन द इनकम स्टेटमेंट. And there are some expenses in the income statement for which cash is never paid. And hence, there would be a difference between a profit, that is positive income, and cash generation. So you cannot always say, you can most of the time say, but you cannot always say that a profitable company would always generate cash. It's mostly true. Most profitable companies generate cash, but there are few profitable companies which still lose cash. How does that happen? Why does that happen? We'll get to know in today's lecture. Most of the loss-making company would lose cash also, but then there are few loss-making company which generates cash too. You'll get to know how in today's lecture. So I repeat, most profitable company generates cash, but some profitable company also lose cash. Most loss-making company lose cash, but a few of the loss-making company do generate cash. So profit making and cash generation are not completely equal. There are some differences between profit making and cash generation. You'll get to know in cash flow statement. Okay. So income statement is about profit, cash flow statement is about cash generation. They're not necessarily equal. And then balance sheet talks about कि from the date the company started till today, company ने कहाँ how much amount का investment किया है, and for that investment from where did they raise money, what were the sources of funds that company has raised. Okay, so this was the introduction which I had given yesterday before that Wi-Fi ka issue started. So I thought ki I'll start 15 minutes earlier, but I will just revise the things that we had done in the yesterday's lecture. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start an example from scratch, which is about the Parle-G company. Okay. So Parle-G company makes biscuits. Okay, its same name is the same, Parle-G. Just a second. Antivirus started running. I'm so sorry. All right, sorry. So let's take a 2020 year. So I'm just sharing the screen. All right, so let's take a 2020 year. In that year, suppose Parle-G company manufactured 1,000 biscuits, and the cost of each biscuit was $4. Out of this 1,000 biscuit that it has manufactured, they could sell 800 biscuits, and the selling price for that 800 biscuit was $10. So basically एक बिस्किट का 4 रुपए का खर्चा है और एक बिस्किट सेल करके we are getting $10. So profit per biscuit is $6. Okay. So I had asked this question yesterday to some of you, so some of you will know it, but I just want those guys who were not there in the yesterday session before the Wi-Fi went down. I want the new students who are attending over here, who didn't attend the yesterday lecture, to tell me the profit of this company. Okay. After this, the lecture would be open for even existing students. But right now, I'm just taking the inputs from the new students because this question was answered yesterday before the Wi-Fi went down. So can someone tell me what is the profit of the company for those students who hadn't attended yesterday? This is the fresh lecture. Satyam, can you tell me what is the profit over here? Satyam, can you tell me the profit? Per product, $6. So what is the total profit of the company? Satyam or anyone can just raise hand. Yes, Satyam. Not able to hear you, Satyam. Okay, Anjali.
So we sold 800 units. So 800 multiplied by profit that is $6. So 4,800.
Sure, not 1,000 into 6, but 800 into 6.
800 into $6.
We manufactured 1,000 biscuits.
Yeah, but we sold 800. So we didn't sell 200. So how can we calculate it into profit?
But we did incur cost 1,000 into 4. We did incur cost 1,000 into 4. So the total cost that we incurred was 4,000. So I agree with your logic that sales of the company is 800 into $10, which is $8,000. This is fine. But cost of the company was 1,000 biscuit that it manufactured multiplied by $4. So it was $4,000 as a cost. So basically sales, I'm fine. Sales was $10 multiplied by 800 biscuits. So that's how the sales is 8,000, which is fine. But cost was per biscuit, cost was $4 and 1,000 biscuits were manufactured. So wouldn't it be the cost be 4,000?
Yeah.
So no, you said 800 into 4, 3,200. So basically you said 800 into 10 and 800 into 4 would be the cost. So the profit according to you was 8,000 minus 3,200. That was 4,800.
Yes.
You multiplied 800 into 6. But my point is the total cost incurred in making biscuit was 1,000 into 4, 4,000. So truly this should be cost of 1,000 into 4. That should be 4,000 cost. Isn't it?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. So should the profit be 8,000 minus 4,000? That should be 4,000.
The profit will be 4,000. Yeah.
Satyam, you want to add something? I think I'm not able to hear you, Satyam. Okay, fine. Satyam, maybe you can type it in the chat section. Okay, fine. What Anjali said was actually right. I deliberately misled her. I repeat, what Anjali said was right. The profit was $4,800 only. I deliberately misled her and she got carried away. So I'll explain. Why did I mislead her? Because everyone would have thought, I mean, even science background students will thought that total cost incurred to 1,000 into 4, 4,000 था. ठीक है, हमने sales किया 800 biscuits at a price of $10. So sales is 8,000. But the cost that we incurred was $4 per biscuit and we made 1,000 biscuits. So 8,000 minus 4,000, profit is 4,000. But no, profit is 4,800. I'll explain. So let's say that this pen I bought for $4 and I sold for $10. Just new students, please raise hand. Because yahan tak humne we had discussed yesterday wala lecture before it getting cancelled. So just new students, please raise hand. Okay, Prerit and Abhishek, I'll just enable your audios. Okay, I'm having a little difficulty enabling the audios. I don't know. Okay, fine. Prerit and Abhishek, I'm just having a difficulty in enabling the audio. Okay, it got enabled. Fine. Okay, just unmute yourself, please, Pradeep and Abhishek.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yes, sir.
if this pen I had purchased it for $4 and I sold it for $10, what's the profit?
$6.
Good. I purchased it for $4, I sold it for $10, so there is a $6 profit. If I purchase it for $4 and then I sell it for $1, what is the profit?
Loss of $3.
Loss of
$3.
3, sir.
Okay. So first case, purchase price $4, selling price $10, so profit of 6. Second case, purchase price 4, selling price 1, so loss of 3. Third case, I purchased this pen for $4 and I haven't yet sold it. I bought this pen for $4 and I haven't yet sold it. What is the profit?
Nothing, sir.
Can't be determined.
Come again, please.
Can't be determined.
Good. So basically, when you simply purchase a particular product but haven't yet sold it, the profit cannot be determined, because for profit determination, you not only need the cost, but you also need the selling price. Case 1, cost was 4, selling price was 10, so profit was 6. Case 2, cost was 4, selling price was 1, so profit was $3. Case 3, cost was 4, but selling price was not available because we didn't sell the pen. So if selling price is not available, then you cannot determine the profit. So basically, if there is a cost and for that cost associated selling price is not there, then you cannot determine the profit, which means this cost also would be a useless thing for determining the profit, because profit is selling price minus cost. Okay, so just write over here. A profit is equal to selling price minus cost. So if cost is $4, but selling price is not available because we haven't sold it, we cannot calculate the profit. We will be able to calculate the profit only after we sell the product. Then we get to know the selling price and then we'll be able to calculate the profit. And the statement that we are making, income statement, is also called as profit or a loss statement. So over here, we are intending to calculate profit. And over here, we can't calculate profit for the unsold products because unka selling price is not available. So if selling price available nahi hai, we can't calculate profit. So this cost of unsold goods, we don't consider in the income statement. I repeat, this is a cost of unsold good. Goods matlab products. So this is the cost of unsold goods, which we don't consider in the income statement because jo unsold goods hai, unka selling price is not available because they haven't yet been sold. So for the unsold goods, you have the cost, but you don't have the selling price. So you can't determine the profit. And in the income statement, your intent is to determine the profit. So over here, you have the cost, but you don't have the selling price. So you can't determine the profit. And hence cost of unsold goods don't go in the income statement. It goes somewhere else. I'll talk about where does it go in a while, but it doesn't go in the income statement. It gets captured, but somewhere else, not in the income statement. So coming back to this example, यहाँ पे we had made 1,000 biscuits, but we could sell only 800 biscuits. So 200 biscuits were unsold. तो उनका जो कॉस्ट है $800 का जो कॉस्ट है वो इनकम स्टेटमेंट में नहीं जाता. It won't go in the income statement. It goes somewhere else. We'll discuss in a while where does it go. Okay. So if you realize it, this is the first instance where cash generation and profit generation are two different things. अब भले आप इसको इनकम स्टेटमेंट में मत डालो, लेकिन खर्चा तो हुआ है. कैश तो पे हो चुका है $800 का. पर बिस्किट यू हैव इनकर्ड कॉस्ट ऑफ $4 एंड 200 अनसोल्ड बिस्किट के लिए टोटल खर्चा हुआ है $800 का. आप इसको इनकम स्टेटमेंट नहीं डाल रहे हो, आप यू आर पुटिंग इट समवेयर एल्स व्हिच वी डिस्कस, बट स्टिल खर्चा हुआ है. So cash has been spent for it, although you are not recording in the income statement, but cash has been spent. So this is the one point of differences, possible differences between the profit generation and the cash generation. There are many which you'll come to know in a while, but just keep a note of it कि ये जो $800 का cash हमने spend किया है, that we are not recording in the income statement, and we are logically right because profit is selling price minus cost. The cost of the unsold good is $4 each. But selling price is not available because the goods are unsold. So if selling price is not available, we can't calculate profit, and hence that cost of unsold goods cannot be a part of income statement, but it will be recorded somewhere else. So it won't be in the income statement. So income statement में जो sales के नीचे आता है, that is not the total cost. that is called as COGS, cost of goods sold. Why only goods sold का cost is considered? Because जो goods sold होता है उनका selling price is available and hence we can determine the profit. Why not the cost of unsold goods is considered? Because unsold goods का selling price available नहीं होता and hence we cannot determine the profit. So after sales comes COGS. The goods sold were 800. Okay, look at it. The goods sold were 800 and unka cost था 800 into 4. That's 3200. And hence the profit is 8,000 minus 3200 is 4,800. Okay, so this profit is called as gross profit. There are a lot of versions of the profit which you'll get to know. I'll explain it like point by point. So this is called as gross profit, which is sales minus cost of goods sold. Now this cost of goods sold include the raw material cost. तो बिस्किट बनाने के लिए sugar लगता है, wheat लगता है, so some chemicals, etc. So that is called as the cost of goods sold. Apart from that, there would be other cost also. I repeat, apart from the raw material, labor cost, there could be other cost also. What are the other cost? Generally, the plant would be owned by the company. However, when company newly starts, sometimes it may not have that much of money to own the complete plant. So what do is they rent out the plant. Sometimes when it is not possible for a company to buy the complete plant, so they rent out the plant. So a landlord would be renting out the plant to the company and company would be paying rent to the landlord. Okay. So we also have to consider the rental expense. Okay. So from this gross profit, we have to subtract the rental expenses. So let me just write over here, rental expenses. All right. To sell the biscuits, it won't be an easy job to sell the biscuits. You have to do a lot of advertising to sell the biscuits. Okay, so you have to have a brand ambassador, or you have to put the advertisements in the local trains or bus stops, etc. Or you may have to do advertisements in the TV channels, etc. So you have to do advertising. So advertising costs, so advertising expenses. All right. Then in the corporate office, you'll have to have staff for accounting purpose, for tax purpose, for IT related things, for audit. And then there would be a requirement of corporate governance, which is like monitoring की company में कुछ fraud हो रहा है कि नहीं हो रहा है. अगर fraud हो रहा है तो stop that fraud. So which is called as board of directors. So you need corporate employees for audit, accounts, tax, legal also. I mean, there could be some law requirements, so you need them. Legal employees, you need them. You need IT employees, and you need the board of directors for corporate governance to stop the fraud. So all these are called as white collared employees because they don't work in the plant. They work in an AC office. So it's called as white collared employees. I'll just write corporate employees. But the common term is called as the one who works in the factory are called as blue collared, and the one who works in AC offices are called as white collared. Right? Corporate employees. So corporate employees ka salary. That is auditor ka salary, accountant ka salary, legal guy ka salary, tax wale person ka salary, board of director salary, etc. Now, can some of you tell me, ये सब तीनों में एक common चीज है? Can some of you tell me what is that common चीज in rental expenses, advertising expenses, and corporate expenses? There's some common thing because of which all these things are combined and they are called as something, which I'll tell you the name in a while. Name is not important, but you have to identify what is the common thing between all these three. Anyone? Especially from the non-commerce side, I would be happy. What is the common thing that you could find out in these three expenses? Rent to be paid to landlord, advertising expenses to be paid to media, and corporate employees ka salary to be paid to the employees. So what is the common thing in this? Satyan, try to unmute and speak if it is happening.
Can you hear me now, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Is it office expenses?
These are, sorry?
Office expenses?
So last one is office expenses, but rental and advertising are not office expenses.
Aren't they part of office expenses? Like that way I could.
So no, I mean, okay, so office expenses name, but there's one important thing, one important characteristics. Yes, Anusha?
Sir, are they fixed expenses?
Wonderful. They are fixed expenses. So understand the other expenses which earlier I was talking about, the labor and the raw material, which were part of your COGS. The labor and the raw material, which were the part of COGS, are variable expenses. Means that in a specific year, if you manufacture lesser biscuits, those labor and the raw material would be required in lesser quantity, and hence the expenses associated with labor and raw material will be lesser. In another year, you produce a lot of biscuits, and hence you require a lot of labor, you require a lot of raw material, and hence the labor and the raw material expenses would be higher. So the expenses which are a part of COGS, which are generally labor and the raw material, are directly related to the production level. More production means more labor, more raw material, and hence more COGS. Less productions means less requirement of raw material, less requirement of labor, because you're producing lesser. So why would you require labor and why would you require raw material? So if you're producing lesser, less raw material required, less labor required, and hence lesser COGS. So COGS is a variable expense which varies with the production level. Higher production, more labor required, more raw material required, higher COGS. Lesser production, less labor required, less raw material required, lesser COGS. But these three expenses which I just mentioned, which Anusha pointed out properly, these are fixed. Rent to be paid to the landlord. You cannot say to the landlord कि ये साल हमने कम production किया है, तो sales कम हो रहा है, profit कम है, so this year we will pay lesser rent to you. Landlord will not accept that kind of arrangement. Landlord will say कि to hell with your production quantity, whether you produce lesser or you produce more, I don't care. As per the contract, give me the rent. So the rent would be a fixed cost. Whether you produce or whether you don't produce, you have to pay that rent. So rent is a fixed cost. Same goes with the advertising. The advertiser agency, the media agency, will not relate the advertising cost with how much you produce. They won't say if you produce more, pay us more advertising cost. You produce lesser, you pay us lesser. The brand ambassador, Amitabh Bachchan or Aishwarya Rai or whoever is your brand ambassador, he will take a fixed cost, irrespective of how much production is happening in the factory. The brand ambassador cost, or the 10-second ka slots which are there on the television. TV slots are the TV advertising slots are sold in 10 seconds. So 10-second ka jo cost hota hai, that will not be determined by the production quantities. So again, advertising cost is fixed. And जो corporate employees होते हैं, उनका salary is also fixed. Like people like you and me, पूरे year our salary is fixed. It's not like अगर March में production increase हुआ है factory में, तो March में I get more salary. February में अगर production कम हुआ है, I get lesser salary. Corporate employees का salary is fixed throughout the year. So you have to pay your salary to the corporate employees. Corporate employees ka salary payment is legally, you have to pay them a salary. Some employees ka salary would be variable, especially those in the investment banking, etc. There's some part of the salary is variable, but majority of the employees in the manufacturing companies would have a fixed salary. So rent, fix, advertising cost, fix, and corporate employee ka salary fix. And that's the reason these three things are called together as a fixed expense. And इनका एक नाम दिया है in various commerce textbooks, it's called as SGA, Selling General Admin Expense. So जो general admin है, वो जो third वाला part है, वो that is general admin. So that's the general admin. This one and this one. Actually, first one is not truly general admin. Corporate employees ka salary could be considered as general admin, and advertising matlab selling. Okay, so together is called as selling general admin expense. So let's say for this company, the SGA expense is $1,000. Okay, so I'll go back, and from this profit, I'll subtract the SGA expense, which is a fixed expense, which is $1,000. So I get another version of profit, and that profit is called as operating profit. So this profit is called as operating profit. Okay, so that would be 3,800. Any doubts till now? Please raise hand. Anusha, you had doubt or like you wanted to ask earlier? I mean, you wanted to, okay, no doubt. Okay, fine. Can we call variable expenses as operating expenses? Yes, yes, Ashish. Variable expenses and operating expenses are like interchangeably used, but truly operating expenses में fix आता है and variable आता है. So operating expenses are split into two parts. Let me put it, Ashish, for you. The operating expenses are put into two parts. One is variable expenses, which we call it COGS, which includes raw material and labor in the factory. And then there are fixed expenses, which are rent, advertising, and the general admin. Okay, so both together are called as operating expenses. No, Dev, costing is something different. I'll talk about costing a little later. It's called activity-based costing, ABC, which is not connected over here. All right. I would request, instead of typing, it will be better if you raise hand and then directly ask the questions over the mic. But anyways, if the mic is not working, then you can go ahead with the chat section. Yes, Abhishek.
Just wanted to know, can we relate it with direct or indirect cost also?
Yeah, so direct cost are called as variable cost and indirect cost are called as fixed cost.
Same, means there is no...
COGS is a direct cost, which is nothing but a variable cost. And selling general admin, the rent, the advertising, and corporate employees' salary is fixed cost, which is also called as indirect cost. Is it fine?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, Dev.
Sir, is this similar to cost sheet?
That's what I'm saying. Cost sheet is a little different. So I'm not covering right now cost sheet. Cost sheet is slightly different from income statement. Okay, I'll explain to you cost sheet a little later, maybe in person. All right. Yes, Anjali. This is again. Yeah, Anjali, go on.
Sir, can we say fixed costs, indirect costs, like?
Yeah, that's right now. Yeah. So direct costs are called as variable cost and fixed costs are called as indirect cost.
Okay.
All right. So going further. So from this operating profit, let me just put it on the screen. So from this operating profit, we subtract some mystery expense. Right now, I'm not naming that mystery expenses. One expense, I'm not naming it right now. We subtract it. Right now, I'm not calling that expense, not writing that expense. I'll talk about it in a while. And then I'll get profit. And that profit is also called as operating profit. So what is that mystery expense? You will get to know in a while. Right now, I'm not writing about that mystery expense. It will be too early to write that mystery expense. So right now I'll call it as 0. So it will be still 3,800. Okay. Now from this operating profit, we will have to pay the financing cost. So we need to understand कि ये जो sales company ने किया है, 800 biscuit का sales किया है, जिसके लिए company manufactured 1000 biscuit. तो ये 1000 biscuit manufacture करने के लिए company had invested into land, plant, machinery, and building. To make this sales, company had to produce, and for production, company must have invested into land, plant, machinery, building, warehouse, etc., etc., etc. तो ये सब में इन्वेस्ट करने के लिए जो पैसा लगा, the company, how did it arrange that money? That would be found in balance sheet. So when we discuss balance sheet, we'll discuss about it in detail. But right now, I'll just give you a complete glimpse of it. That suppose ये सब के लिए company invested around 10,000 rupees in all these things. So land, plant, machine, building, and warehouse, my company invested 10,000 rupees. Okay. Out of this 10,000, 8,000 was taken as a loan from SBI. And the remaining 2,000 was taken from the investors. The investors are also called as shareholders because they are given a share certificate, or they are also called as equity investors. Okay, so equity investors or share investors say 2,000 rupees company arranged, and then the remaining 8,000 was taken as a loan from SBI. Now, when you take a loan from SBI, obviously SBI will charge you fixed interest rate. Let's say that interest rate is 10%, and SBI told you that every year you have to pay principal of 2,000. ओके और इंटरेस्ट भी पे करना है ऑब्वियसली, बट एवरी ईयर यू हैव टू पे प्रिंसिपल ऑफ 2000, मतलब ये लोन 4 साल में खत्म करना है. द टोटल लोन इज 8000 and every year you have to pay 2000 principal and then you have to pay interest also, but 2000 principal agar if you pay every year then 4 years mein the loan would be over. So basically it was a 4-year loan. Okay, so now we will in this year we'll have to pay in the 2020 we'll have to pay interest. So let's calculate the interest. So interest is going to be 8000 के ऊपर 10%, so the interest should be 800 and principal 2000 का पे करना पड़ेगा. So the total payment would be 2800, 2800. So I'll go back in the income statement. I'm going to write minus principal and interest, which comes to 2800. Okay, and then we get a figure of profit, which is called as profit before tax, which would be 3800 minus 2800, that becomes $1000. All right, now listen to me very carefully. I repeat, listen to me very carefully. Abhishek, I think you may have a doubt. I'll take that in a while. Listen to me very carefully. This principal payment, ye jo principal payment that I have subtracted, that was wrong. We do not subtract principal payment in the income statement. I repeat, we do not subtract principal payment in the income statement. Let me explain you why. Okay, I repeat, we do not subtract principal payment in the income statement, that is in the profit and loss statement. We do not subtract principal payment, and I'll explain with the logic why. Okay, so suppose Jiten lost his mobile and he's going to buy a mobile after 1 month. So he's maybe waiting a launch of a brand new, maybe Pixel 5. So he's going to wait for a period of 5 months. So 1 month. So in 1 month he needs a mobile. So he asked me that, do you have a spare mobile? So I said, yes, I do have this spare mobile. I'll give to you, but I would require a rent of 1000 rupees. So he says, fine. So I rent him a mobile at t equal to 0, that is today. So let me just put it on the screen. At t equal to 0, I rent mobile to him. So I'm looking at it from Jiten's perspective. So he took a mobile from Rajaram Kamat. Okay. At the end of 1 month, that is at the end of 30 days, he would return my mobile. So he'll return mobile to Rajaram Kamat. And as well as he will pay $1000, 1000 rupees, fine. He'll pay 1000 rupees as rent. Okay, इसमें I think कोई confusion नहीं होगा. This is straightforward example which I had mentioned. Okay, so t equal to 0, he took a mobile from me on a rent, and at t equal to 30, he returned it back, and he paid me $1000 of rent, 1000 rupees of rent. Okay. Now let's say Ajinkya needs 10,000 rupees from me. Okay, Ajinkya needs 10,000 rupees from me. I gave him 10,000 rupees. Like I gave my mobile to Jiten. Similarly, I gave 10,000 rupees to Ajinkya. So at t equal to 0, I gave 10,000 rupees to Ajinkya. So I'm going to look from Ajinkya's point of view. So from Ajinkya's point of view, at t equal to 0, he has borrowed 10,000 rupees from Rajaram Kamat. जैसे Jiten had borrowed a mobile, took मतलब he borrowed a mobile. He didn't buy a mobile from me, he borrowed mobile from me. So they said Jiten borrowed mobile from me at t equal to 0. Similarly, Ajinkya borrowed 10,000 rupees from me at t equal to 0. At t equal to 30, I tell him that you have to return my money. So you have to return my money in 1 month. So he's going to return 10,000 rupees. जैसे Jiten had returned my mobile. Similarly, he is going to return 10,000 rupees to me. And along with that, he is going to pay rent, which in finance industry is called as interest. Jesse Jiten was going to pay me 1000 rupees as a rent. The same thing in the finance industry is called as interest. So he took my money. Jesse Jiten took my mobile. So to Jiten, to use my mobile, I had charged him a rent. Similarly to Ajinkya, to use my money, I will charge him a rent, which is called as interest. So let's say he pays me interest of 10%. So he'll pay me 10,000 ka 10%, 1,000 rupees as rent, which we call it interest. So please note, interest is nothing but rent only. Just that the rent is paid when you use someone's thing without buying it. You use someone's flat, you're staying in someone's flat, so you haven't bought it, but still you are staying in it. So to the landlord you pay rent. Jiten borrowed my mobile, so he didn't buy the mobiles, he borrowed my mobile, and hence he will pay me rent. So if you buy someone's thing, then you will have to pay rent. And when you borrow someone's things, then you have to pay rent. When you borrow someone's money, you have to pay interest. So when you borrow someone's thing, it could be a pen, it could be a mobile, it could be a flat, it could be a machine, it could be a complete plant. When you borrow a particular thing from someone, then for using that thing, you have to pay rent. Similarly, if you borrow money from someone, you will have to pay rent only, but that rent is called as interest. यहाँ तक clear होगा? कुछ doubt है यहाँ तक? Raise hand please. All right, no doubt. Okay, so now comes the important point. At t equal to 30, when Jiten was returning me the mobile that he had borrowed, and Ajinkya, who was returning me 10,000 that he has borrowed, both were same thing. They were simply returning the thing which didn't belong to them. Jiten and Ajinkya had borrowed mobile and 10,000 rupees respectively from me. So Jiten didn't own that mobile and Ajinkya didn't own that 10,000 rupees. So they were using my things. So at t equal to 30 days, it was obvious that they have to return that thing to me. So return of principal is truly not a cost. Return of principal is like a return of mobile. So when at t equal to 30 days, Ajinkya was going to return this 10,000 rupees to me, this will not be an expense. Will you call return of mobile by Jiten as an expense? Will you call this as an expense? Obviously not. He simply had borrowed the mobile and he's returning it. And similarly, Ajinkya had borrowed 10,000 rupees and he's simply returning it. This is not an expense. The expense is extra thing that he's paying. This is the extra thing that he's paying. So just say whatever Jiten had borrowed, he's returning the same thing over here. But he's paying extra 1,000 rupees to me, which is nothing but a use cost or rent cost in the terms of the other things. But in the terms of money, it's called as interest cost. So basically, the bottom line is return of principal is not a cost. Principal returning is the same principal that you had borrowed. Just say when you borrow mobile, you have to return it. That return of mobile is not a cost. The rent that you pay is a cost. Similarly, the 10,000 that you had borrowed, Ajinkya had 10,000 that he had borrowed, he's returning the same 10,000 rupees. That returning of 10,000 that he had borrowed is obviously to be done. It is not a cost. The cost is extra thing that he pays. The interest 1,000 rupees that he paid, that is a cost. And that's the reason for profit generation, which is nothing but selling price minus cost or sales minus cost. We need cost. Return of principal is not a cost. Return of principal is like return of a borrowed mobile or return of borrowed 10,000. Both are same. Whether you borrow mobile or you borrow 10,000, you have to return it. So return of a borrowed money or return of a borrowed thing is one and the same. It is not a cost. It's the same thing that you have borrowed, you are returning it. The cost is something extra that you pay for using someone else. Like Jiten used my mobile, so he's paying me a rent cost for that. Similarly, Ajinkya borrowed 10,000 rupees from me, so he's going to pay me a rent, which we call it interest. So that interest or that rent is the cost that you have to pay because you are using someone else's money or someone else's thing. So if I am using this keyboard, which is not owned by me, which is owned by someone, then for that use of this keyboard, I'll have to pay a rent cost. Okay. So suppose this laptop on which I'm taking a lecture, suppose ye laptop kharidne ke liye I had borrowed 50,000 rupees from Abhishek. Then whatever money I borrowed, obviously I have to pay it back to Abhishek. But along with that, I have to pay interest also. तो जो मैं 50,000 रिटर्न करूंगा अभिषेक को, तो वो तो उसका ही पैसा है because I had borrowed it from him. So return of principal is same as return of borrowed money, which was borrowed from him. I'm returning it to him. Interest is over and above Interest is like using his money, and hence I'm using his money. That's the reason I have to pay him something extra, and that's the reason interest is considered as a cost. So rent and interest are same thing, just that rent is a term applicable for a thing, I mean for a material thing, and interest is applicable for a money. Okay, so when you borrow money, you have to pay interest, and when you borrow a particular product, could be a keyboard, could be a mobile, when you borrow a particular product, then you have to pay a rent. Okay, so the point is repayment of principal is not a cost, because you are simply repaying the principal which you had borrowed from the lender. So repayment of principal will not be a cost. Any doubts with that? So yes, so Jitan asked a very valid question. So where will this be accounted for? So where will the principal payment would be accounted for? Cash flow statement. Remember, there is a difference between a cash flow statement and an income statement. So one difference was the cost of unsold goods. Second is this principal payment. So when you borrow money or when you repay the money, when you borrow money or when you repay the money, it's a financing decision. It is not a cost. Suppose from Anjali, I borrowed 1 lakh rupees. Is that a cost? No, it was a financing decision. So when you borrow money, it's a financing decision. When you repay it, it's simply repayment of borrowed money. So it's not a cost. The cost will be when Anjali will charge me some interest. Okay. So in the income statement, you're only looking for cost, and interest is the cost. Taking a loan or repaying it is not a cost. Taking a loan and repaying it are the financing things. Taking a loan is financing inflow. Repayment of the principal is financing outflow. So it's not a cost. But Jitan had a right question. Where does that go? Well, I'll talk about it. It goes in the cash flow statement, which we'll discuss in a while. So I'll go back to the income statement, and now I'll correct myself that the principal was not required to be subtracted. Only interest cost was required. And the interest cost was 800. If you recollect it, remember it? The interest cost was this 800. Okay, so I'll go back and I will subtract the interest. So 3800 minus 800 comes to 3000. So this is the profit before tax, 3000. Okay, and uske baad we have to pay tax. So let's say tax rate is 40%. इसका मतलब है 3000 का 40% गवर्नमेंट लेके जाएगा. I repeat, 3000 का 40% गवर्नमेंट लेके जाएगा, तो बचेगा 3000 का 60%. That is called as profit after tax. 3000 का 40% government will take away, and 3000 ka 60% would be left to us. So that's 1800 would be left to us. Okay. So 3000 minus 1200 tax, that would be 1800. Profit after tax would be left to us. So this is profit after tax. This is profit before tax. These two are operating profit. The mystery expense, Aditya, you had got it right, but I'm not pronouncing that mystery expense right now. SG expense, which is called as your fixed expense, also called as indirect expense. Some of you said that word right. Like I think Abhishek and Anjali told it right. And COG is also called as direct cost, also called as variable cost. So this is in brief income statement with this mystery thing still not clear, which I'll talk about it in a while. I'll just give you the name of that. Okay, I'll not even give a name, because if I give a name, then entire attention will go to that, because that name, I'm pretty sure, irrespective of your background, you would have heard about that name. And that's the reason I'm not taking that name right now for that mystery expense. All right, so this is income statement. Okay, so now we will turn our attention to balance sheet. Okay, there are other things in the income statement which I want to cover, but right now I'm moving towards the balance sheet. Okay, so let's look at the balance sheet. By the way, before going to the balance sheet, any doubts with the things which you have covered in the income statement? Anything which is covered in the income statement which is not yet clear? Just raise hand, please. Anything in the income statement which we have covered which is not yet clear? Yes, Mayur. Yes, Jiten, profit after tax is net profit. PAT, profit after tax, is also called as net profit. Net income, net profit. Yes, Mayur, I'm not able to hear you actually. You need to.
Hello.
Yeah, Mayur, go on.
Sir, why fixed expenses are called indirect expenses?
Okay, that's that's an interchangeable word. There's a little story to it. Why fixed expenses are called as indirect expenses? Because they are not directly related to the production, but there's a little more to it. But you can just right now assume it like The variable expense are directly related to the production. More production, more labor, more raw material, and hence more cost. Lesser production, lesser raw material, lesser labor, and hence lesser cost. So the variable expenses are also called as direct expenses because they're directly related to production. And the fixed expenses are not directly related to production, like the selling, advertising, general admin cost is not directly related to production, and hence it's called as indirect cost or a fixed cost. This is the short answer, but there's an actually detailed answer which I'll speak about it some other time.
Okay, sir.
All right. I'll repeat to Jiten's question for everyone else benefit. The profit after tax, the final bottom line that I had mentioned is, sorry, the profit after tax is also called as net income, also called as net profit. Net profit, net income, profit after tax are interchangeably used. Coming to the balance sheet. Balance sheet I had mentioned has two sides which balances each other. Two sides which are equal to each other. So two sides which balances each other. And hence the name of the sheet is called as balance sheet. What are the two sides? On one side, you get to know कि कंपनी ने कहाँ पे और कितना इन्वेस्टमेंट किया. Okay, जो हमने ऑलरेडी पहले बोला था कि लैंड, प्लांट, मशीनरीज, बिल्डिंग एटसेट्रा. कंपनी has made an investment of 10,000. Okay, so this is called as investment side. And the investments made by the company were land, plant, machine, building, these all investments, and warehouse. Together 10,000 rupees ka investment company had made it. Now investments in commerce language, accounting language is also called as assets. So know that term. Investments means assets. Okay, you have to know that term. Investment means assets. Now there's one common thing with all these investments. All these investments, land, plant, machine, building, warehouse, have one thing in common. Raise of a hand. Who could guess what is the thing in common in all these things? Just quick raise of a hand and tell me what is the thing which is common in land, plant, machine, building, warehouse. I would want the answers truly from the non-commerce students. Because commerce students ko ye ho chuka hai. I want the answers from the non-commerce students. Okay. Yes, Dhairya. There I'm trying to, yeah, there you go on.
Sir, they are assets which will get depreciated over time.
So basically, he used a little bit of a complicated word, depreciated. So I'll just put it in a simple word. These are the assets which do not get over in 1 year. Land lasts for multiple years. Plant will last for 20-25 years. Machine will last for at least 5 to 10 years. Building will last for 30-40 years. Warehouse will be lasting for 40 years. So these are the assets. These are the investments which will be lasting for multiple years. And hence they are called as long investments, long-lived investments. Okay, so they are called as fixed investments or long-lived investment. Why they are called as fixed? Because they are fixed at one place. Like land is fixed at one place. You can't move land from here to there. Plant is fixed at one place. Machine is fixed at one place. Building, warehouse, all these are fixed geographically at one place. And that's the reason they are called as fixed asset, FA, fixed asset, or also called as LLA, long-lived asset, because they live long. They are called as fixed asset because geographically they are fixed at one place. Technically, इसमें से machine move किया जा सकता है, but generally machine would be also fixed at one place, but still it could be movable. But still, other assets, land, plant, building, and warehouse too are fixed, but machine also, many machines are fixed at one place. They can't be moved from that place. Okay, so all these are fixed at one place, so they are called as fixed asset, and all of them live more than a year, so they are called as long-lived asset. Then there are certain assets which are short-lived asset. Okay, which obviously you would guess it what it will include. It will include raw material. Okay, raw material for the purpose of Parle-G would be the sugar, the wheat. The sugar and the wheat are the key raw materials to make a Parle-G. And the sugar and the wheat obviously will not last for 4 years. The sugar that you buy probably will last for 2 months, 3 months. The wheat that you have purchased won't last for 20 years. The wheat that you have purchased will last for 20 days or 30 days or 40 days. It's a short-lived investment. So the raw material that you have purchased, the sugar, the wheat, that's a short-lived investment. And that short-lived investment is also called as a working investment. Okay, working investment. So I'll just write short-lived asset to samajh mein aata hai, but why it's called as working asset? What is associated with a working asset? If you have been to a production plant, you will see big machines, and across the machine there will be a connector belt which will be called as conveyor belts. It will be machine M1, M2, M3, M4, and then those machines will be connected via conveyor belt. And then on the conveyor belt, a raw material would be passing. So raw material will go across machine 1, it will get some process. Then after that process, it will go to machine 2, there will be some extra process done. Then same thing for machine 3 and machine 4. So those machines, M1, M2, M3, M4, they don't move. They are fixed at one place. Hence that machine is called as fixed asset. But that raw material which is put on the conveyor belt moves from machine 1 to machine 2, machine 2 to machine 3, machine 3 to machine 4. So the raw material which is there on the conveyor belt is working its way across the conveyor belt. And hence that raw material investment is called as working capital investment or working asset. The machine is called as fixed asset because machines M1, M2, M3, M4 are fixed at one place. And that raw material is working across its way from M1 to M2, M2, 3, M3 to M4 on a conveyor belt. So raw material is working its way. So it's called as working asset or working capital. Okay. And obviously it doesn't go in, it's not going to be, it's not going to be there for 20 years. The wheat, the sugar that you purchase is not going to be there for 20 years. It's going to be there for 20 days because it's perishable. And hence it's also called as short-lived asset. Okay. So short-lived asset and working asset. So let's say the total investment that company had done was 10,000. I had mentioned that earlier also. I mentioned that here it's 10,000. On the other side, you will get to know कि 10,000 investment करने के लिए company ने पैसा कहाँ से arrange किया है. So for investing into raw materials, land, plant, machine building, warehouse, जो 10,000 रुपया company ने invest किया है, वो 10,000 रुपया company ने खड़ा कैसे किया था? How did company arrange this 10,000 rupees? Is mentioned on the other side, which is called as sources of fund. There are two major sources of funds which we had discussed in the around 15 minutes back, which is take a loan from a bank or take money from the investors. So I'll just write, take a loan from a bank and take money from investors. अब 10,000 रुपए से कितना लोन लेना है और कितना पैसा इन्वेस्टर से लेना है. In our example, we took it 8,000 का loan and 2,000 का money from the investors. But it could be possible कि यहाँ से 7,000 आ सकता है, यहाँ से 3,000 आ सकता है. It could be possible कि यहाँ से 1,000 आ सकता है, यहाँ से 9,000 आ सकता है. So which combination is better? 8,000 of loan, 2,000 of equity, या 7,000 of loan, 3,000 of equity, या 1,000 of loan and 9,000 of equity. Which combination is better? That is covered in corporate finance in the topic called as optimal capital structure. This decision कि कितना लोन लेना है और कितना पैसा इन्वेस्टर से लेना है, that is called as capital structure decision. Okay, this is called as capital structure decision, which will cover in the corporate finance ki what is the right optimal capital structure for a company. We do have it in the level 2 in detail. Actually, level 1 itna detail mein nahi hai. What is the right optimal capital structure for a company? Okay, so right now I'll not go into it right now. I'll just take it ki humne we had 8,000 and 2,000. Okay. Now there's a difference between this 8,000 and 2,000. ये जो 8,000 है वो loan है, and then we take a loan, then we are legally liable to pay interest as well as we are legally liable to pay principal. Out of which truly interest is a cost which gets recorded in the income statement, but we are still legally liable to pay principal also. मतलब ऐसा नहीं बोल सकते कि this time I couldn't generate so much of profit, so I can't pay you interest. You have to pay interest. Similarly, if you have agreed that every year you will pay 2,000 rupees and in 4 years you will repay the loan, you have to do that irrespective of whether you generate sufficient profit or not. So repayment of principal, repayment of interest are legal commitments. And if you don't do that, if you don't pay the legally committed interest and legally committed principal, you are said to be under default. A company which is not in a position to pay legally committed interest or legally committed principal payment, अपने केस में 800 का interest and 2000 का principal, if company is not in a position to pay that legally committed interest or legally committed principal, then that is called as a default. And in the case of a default, the bank who has lent us 8,000 rupees has a right to put a legal case against us in the court. Okay, and then the bank can sell the investments, that is land, plant, machine, building. Bank can sell it, and from that sell, they can recover their loan of 8,000 rupees. So if you default, if the company couldn't pay the interest of 800 and principal of 2,000, then the bank would be having a legal protection. Using that, bank will file a legal case against us, and then they can take the assets and sell them and recover their loan. So taking a loan is kind of very risky thing, because if you don't pay the legally committed interest, then there could be a legal case against you. Many companies' management has been behind the bars because company could not pay the legally committed interest and principal back to the bank. Some of the promoters have flown out of the country. Two specific promoters, you know it, they are from the diamond industry, and one is from the airline industry. They are happily settled in London. Who are them? One from airline industry and two from the diamond industry. Who are these investors? Who are these promoters who took a loan from a bank? Their company was not in a position to pay the interest and the principal. So the bank started the legal case against them, and maybe because of political influence, they could easily fly to London and they're happily settled there. One is Vijay Mallya, and the two from the diamond industry are Nirav Modi. Who said it? Mayur. Good. Nirav Modi. What's the brand of Nirav Modi? What the brand of the Nirav Modi? And yeah, second one is Mehul Choksi. Mehul Choksi, Gitanjali James. Nirav Modi ka brand kya tha? Priyanka Chopra had made advertisement about it. What was the brand of Nirav Modi's? Nirav Modi company ka what was the brand? Gitanjali James, Mehul Choksi. What was the brand name of the Nirav Modi? It was same Nirav Modi. Okay, it was Nirav Modi brand only. Mehul Choksi didn't name his company as Mehul Choksi. He didn't brand his company as Mehul Choksi. He branded as Gitanjali James, but Nirav Modi called it Nirav Modi brand only. Okay, and the companies, neither Gitanjali James nor Kingfisher nor Nirav Modi's company could repay, and hence bank started legal recovery. And in the process of legal recovery, these promoters, maybe with the help of political influence, could fly outside the country and are happily there. All right, anyways. So basically, the taking of a loan is a little risky because you are legally committed to repay it as well as pay interest on it. But when you arrange 2,000 rupees from the investors, you are a little safe because payment of the dividend or share buyback is optional. So when you take 2,000 rupees from the investor, you can pay dividend. Even if you don't pay dividend, shareholders cannot file a legal case against the company to say कि ये company ने हमारा पैसा लिया लेकिन ये dividend pay नहीं करी है. Shareholders don't have a legal protection to file a case against company and say कि ये company ने हमें dividend नहीं दिया. So basically, dividend payment is voluntary. If in a specific year there is a sufficient profit, you can pay dividend. Or if you want, you can reinvest that profit back in the company also. It's not compulsory to pay the dividend. Dividend payment is completely optional. No shareholder of a company can file a legal case against the company कि ये company ने इतना सारा profit कमाया लेकिन ₹1 का dividend नहीं दिया. The shareholders do not have a legal protection, but shareholders do have something which is called as voting right. So if the shareholders are not happy about the management policy of not paying the dividend, shareholders feels कि कंपनी के पास तो इतना सारा प्रॉफिट है लेकिन कंपनी ₹1 का डिविडेंड पे नहीं करती, तो वो कोर्ट में नहीं जा सकते, बट एटलीस्ट ड्यूरिंग द एनुअल जनरल मीटिंग्स, ड्यूरिंग द एनुअल बोर्ड होल्डर्स, एनुअल शेयर होल्डर्स मीटिंग, दे कैन वोट टू रिप्लेस द मैनेजमेंट. So they can vote, they can cast their vote that this management is useless, they never pay dividend, and they can change it with some other management. they can say to the board of directors that we were expecting a dividend from this company, but this management is never paying a dividend. So they don't have a legal protection, but they have a voting right. Okay. So coming back, 8,000 rupees of loan and 2,000 rupees of investors equity. अब ये जो loan होता है, ये loan can be bifurcated in two parts. One is short-term loan and one is long-term loan. So if I look from an individual point, so if I look from point of you and me, what are the short-term loans? Short-term loans would be our credit card loan. Credit card का statement every month आता है and उस पे due date लिखा होता है. Is that due date after 3 years या 5 years? Neither 3 years, neither 5 years. Their due date will be after 20 days. Which means a credit card is a short-term loan. You have to pay that in the current year only. To be specific, you have to pay that in 1 month. So credit card for an individual is a short-term loan. What are the long-term loans for an individual? For you and me, what are the long-term loans? The education loan is a long-term loan. The car loan is a long-term loan. The home loan is a long-term loan. So home loan, car loan, education loan, gold loan, etc. would be a long-term loans. For the companies, from the company's perspective, the long-term loans are called as term loans. So the long-term loans are called as term loans, also called as bonds. Okay, sometimes they're called as term loans, so they are called as, sometimes they are called as bonds. And short-term loan is called as CC, called as cash credit, sometimes called as working capital loan. Cash credit and working capital loans are the terms used for the short-term loan. Okay, जैसे इंडिविजुअल के लिए होता है क्रेडिट कार्ड, वैसे ही बैंक के लिए होता है कैश क्रेडिट, which is also called as sometimes overdraft. Overdraft, cash credit, working capital loan means short-term loans. अब ये differentiate क्यों? Listen to me carefully. Why this short-term loan and the long-term loans are separated out? Loan तो loan है, नहीं pay किया तो behind the bar. So why to separate out short-term loan and long-term loan? There is a reason. If a company is able to pay short-term loans, the company is called as liquid company. And if company is unable to pay the short-term loan, company is having liquidity issues. It requires a liquidity support. I repeat, अगर कंपनी खुद के दम पे शॉर्ट टर्म लोन पे कर सकती है, if company on its own can pay the short term loan, then company is said to be a liquid company. And if company is unable to pay on its own the short term loans along with interest, obviously, if on its own company is not able to pay, then it has liquidity issues, liquidity problems. It requires liquidity support. Okay. If company is able to pay the long term loans, if the company is able to pay the long-term loans, then company is said to be solvent. And if company is unable to pay the long-term loans, company is said to be insolvent. So liquidity means ability to pay short-term loans. Solvency is ability to pay long-term loans. You might have heard Jet Airways is now illiquid. Jet Airways is illiquid का मतलब है they have some short-term problems because of which they are unable to pay the short-term loans. Okay, Kingfisher is insolvent. That means Kingfisher is unable to pay the long-term loans. So liquidity means short-term, solvency means long-term. Okay. Now many people ask me कि sir अगर मैं liquid नहीं हूँ, that means I am a illiquid, I have short-term issues. Then obviously if I cannot survive for short term, then how will I be able to survive for long term? So doesn't it mean that if I'm illiquid, I'm not able to survive for short term, I wouldn't be able to survive for long term? Automatically, illiquidity should imply insolvency, isn't it? If I can't survive for short term, how will I survive for long term? If I die in short term, how will I survive for long term? So doesn't the illiquidity automatically imply insolvency? Answer is no. Answer is no. If that company which is having a liquidity issue, which is having the illiquidity right now, if that is given a right support for some short term, some 5-6 months के लिए, किसी ने उसको support कर दिया, then that liquidity problems could be sorted out, and then company would be back on track, and then it will be able to survive for the long term. So maybe 4-5-6 महीने के लिए there are some short term issues and because of which company is unable to pay the short term loans. ये 4-5 महीने में जो short term problems है तभी किसी ने support provide कर दिया which is called as a relief, short term relief provided by liquidity relief या short term relief given by some bank or some investors. In that case, those short term issues could be sorted out and then company would be in a position to survive for the long term. A common example of this from individual's perspective will help you understand what is liquidity and what is solvency. Okay, so let's assume like this. If my salary is 1 lakh per month, okay, if my salary is 1 lakh per month and my expenses are, let's say, 60,000. Okay, my salary is 1 lakh, my expenses are 60,000. मतलब every month मुझसे 40,000 का saving हो रहा है. So in a year, I'll be able to save 40,000 into 12, around 5 lakh रुपया, 4.8 lakh. Around 5 lakh रुपए का savings I can make it. I repeat, salary 1 lakh रुपया per month, expenses 60,000 रुपया per month, तो saving होगा 40,000 का एक month का, तो 12 महीने का होगा 4.8 lakh, which you can round off to 5 lakh. Okay. So suppose I take a credit card loan. Okay, I apply for a credit card and I swipe the credit card for 10,000. So every year I will have to pay 10,000. I mean, every month I'm going to swipe the credit card for additional expenses of 10,000. So every year जो मेरा 40,000 का जो saving था, every month जो 40,000 का जो saving था, उसमें से 10,000 will have to pay for the credit card bill. So my saving every month will now become 30,000. So I could easily afford to have a credit card because every month I was having 40,000 का savings. With that 10,000 का credit card का bill तो easily pay हो सकता था. I am liquid. Because short term loan था credit card का, I am able to easily pay it because I was surplus of 40,000 every month. And with that surplus of 40,000 every month, credit card का जो bill था 10,000 का, I can easily pay it off. Okay. Second, suppose मैंने बैंक से एक लोन लिया कार के लिए. Suppose I take a loan from a bank for, let's say, buying a car for 5 lakh rupees. Okay, 5 lakh rupees के लिए मैंने I took a car loan. Let's say bank is charging me 8% interest rate. तो 5 lakh का 8% आता है how much? 40,000. So 5 lakh का 8% would be 40,000. So 40,000 would be yearly interest. And suppose करो कि एक साल का जो principal payment था वो था 1 lakh का. So 1 lakh का principal payment and 40,000 का interest would be 1.4 lakh. Okay. And every month I was saving 30,000. Remember वो 10,000 का bill कटने के बाद 30,000 बचेगा. 30,000 into 12, 3.6 lakhs. तो 3.6 lakhs में से मैं आराम से 40,000 का interest and 1 lakh का principal I can easily pay. Is the story clear? I repeat, I'm an individual who earns 1 lakh rupees per month. मेरा खर्चा है 60,000 per month. I have a savings of 40,000. I got a call from, let's say, ICICI ki take a credit card. I succumbed to it. So I took a credit card. Once I got a credit card, I got kind of inspired to swipe it from using the Flipkart and Amazon offers. So I swiped it every month 10,000 rupees se. So my expenses increase and hence my jo saving tha 40,000 ka, that got reduced to 30,000. So my yearly savings now would be around 3.6 lakhs. But I can easily pay my credit card bill because मेरे पास every month saving था 40,000 रुपए का. 1 लाख रुपए का सैलरी, 60,000 का एक्सपेंस और 40,000 का सेविंग था, तो 10,000 का बिल मैं आराम से पे कर सकता हूं. I am liquid. Alright. Then I took a card जिसके लिए मैंने कार लोन लिया 5 लाख का, जिसका इंटरेस्ट रेट है 8%. सो 40,000 का ईयरली इंटरेस्ट, 5 लाख का 8%. एंड प्रिंसिपल पेमेंट पकड़ लो 1.2 लाख का. तो 1.2 लाख का प्रिंसिपल, 80,000 का इंटरेस्ट मेक्स इट 2 लाख. एवरी मंथ आई हैव 30,000. फॉर 12 मंथ्स आई हैव 3.6 lakhs. तो 3.6 लाख में से ये 2 लाख का प्रिंसिपल इंटरेस्ट आराम से पे कर सकता हूं. आई विल बी एबल टू पे माय लॉन्ग टर्म कार लोन. आई एम सॉल्वेंट. मैं क्रेडिट कार्ड लोन पे कर सकता हूं. आई एम लिक्विड. मैं कार लोन पे कर सकता हूं. आई एम सॉल्वेंट. दिस इज द एग्जांपल ऑफ लिक्विड एंड सॉल्वेंट. ओके, मैं थोड़ा सा सिचुएशन चेंज कर रहा हूं. फ्रॉम सम पॉलिटिकल इन्फ्लुएंस I decided that I will take a loan of, let's say, 5 crore. Okay, and maybe I'll buy not a normal car, I'll buy a BMW car or even more expensive car. Obviously, no one will give me a loan of 5 crore, so I took a political influence and I got a loan of 5 crore. तो 5 करोड़ का जो इंटरेस्ट होगा 8% के हिसाब से 5 करोड़ into 8% would be 40 lakhs. एंड सपोज करो वो प्रिंसिपल भी पे करना है, वो पकड़ लो 60 लाख का. तो इंटरेस्ट ऑन 5 करोड़ का 8% 40 लाख एंड प्रिंसिपल 60 लाख. 1 करोड़ का मुझे पेमेंट करना है विद इन दिस ईयर. फ्रॉम वेयर विल आई मेक इट? आई हैव सिंपली 30,000 रुपीज पर मंथ का सेविंग्स इंटू 12 3.6 lakhs. तो 3.6 लाख के सेविंग्स में आई कैन नॉट पे 1 करोड़ रुपीज का पेमेंट टू अ बैंक. I will default. I will not be able to pay my car loan of 5 crore. This is an example of liquid but insolvent. Liquid क्यों? क्योंकि मैं क्रेडिट कार्ड तो पे कर सकता हूं. 10,000 रुपए का जो बिल आता है क्रेडिट कार्ड का, I am in a proper position to pay 10,000 rupees of credit card bill, so I am liquid. But I am insolvent because I am not able to pay interest as well as principal on the 5 crore of car loan. This is liquid but insolvent. Okay. Now, listen to it carefully. I'll go back to the car loan of 5 lakh, which I was able to manage to pay. Interest कुछ था 80,000 का, 80,000 का, and principal था 1.2 lakh का. तो 1.2 lakh का principal, 80,000 का interest makes it 2 lakh. From 3.6 lakhs of savings, I can easily pay 2 lakh. So again, I'm back to solvency. Suppose while walking on the road for the morning walk, I am hit by a car. Okay, while walking on the road for a morning walk, while jogging, I am hit by a car, and then I am in the hospital for 6 months. So in that case, जो credit card का bill होगा, apart from that, ये जो monthly जो home के household के expense होंगे 60,000 के, which will include the housemaid का salary, which will include the maintenance bill, which will include the mobile bill. This I will not be able to pay because for 6 months I am in the hospital. So for 6 months, there is no 1 lakh per month coming. So for 6 months, when I am kind of relaxing or recovering in the hospital, I will not be able to work. So I will not be able to get that 1 lakh rupees per month. So housemaid ka salary, maintenance ka expense, mobile bill, electricity bill, and then credit card ka bill, I will not be able to pay. I will have liquidity issues. Okay, I will have liquidity issues. But after 6 months, I'll be back on track. After 6 months, again, I would be able to take lectures. So after 6 months, again, 1 lakh rupees per month will start. And then after 6 months, when 1 lakh rupees per month will start again, I will be able to pay again, same housemaid ka salary, maintenance bill, electricity bill, I will be able to pay that. So after 6 months, again, I will be back. I'll be liquid as well as I'll be able to pay the car loan of 5 lakh. So I'll be solvent again. तो प्रॉब्लम ये 6 महीने का है. 6 महीने में आई नीड समवन टू सपोर्ट मी, माय वाइफ और माय अंकल, माय मॉम, माय डैड. समवन शुड सपोर्ट मी ड्यूरिंग द 6 months. Okay, so basically you need a liquidity support, liquidity relief from someone when you are in hospital. This is an example of illiquid but solvent, because you know कि ये जो बंदा है वो रिकवर होने वाला है. And after 6 months, when he is going to be back on track, he'll be able to earn 1 lakh rupees per month. He'll be able to pay all the bills and he'll be able to pay long-term loan also. So he'll be solvent and liquid after 6 months. 6 महीने का issue है, तो 6 महीने के लिए support, liquidity support की there is a need. Last example. Suppose I'm hit by an accident and because of that, I lose ability to speak. So if I lose ability to speak, I will not be able to take lectures. So even after 6 months, I'll be back at my home, but I'll not be able to take lectures. So if I'm not able to take lectures, I'll not be able to earn 1 lakh rupees per month. Maybe I'll be able to work somewhere where there may not be a package of 1 lakh rupees per month. There'll be little lesser salary. So if I'm not able to earn that 1 lakh rupees per month because I can't speak, so I can't take lectures after 6 months, then in that case, if I don't get that 1 lakh rupees, then I will not be able to pay the electricity bill, maintenance bill, mobile bills. I would be illiquid as well as insolvent. Okay, I hope you got the complete picture. Liquid, solvent. Liquid, insolvent was 5 crore wala car loan. Liquid, solvent was I am working fine and I have a car loan of 5 lakh. That was liquid, solvent. Liquid insolvent was I'm working fine without any accident. I'm working fine, but I take a loan of 5 crore, which I can't afford to pay back. So that was liquid insolvent. Then I am hit by an accident, but I am still, my speech is fine. So I'll be able to take lectures, but 6 months ke baad. So 6 months ke liye there'll be illiquidity issues. After 6 months, I'll be back. So after 6 months, I'll be liquid also, and I'll be able to pay my car loan also. So that would be solvency, but with the liquidity issues, requires liquidity support. And last case, if I'm hit by accident because of which I will not be able to speak, then if I'm not able to speak, so I will not be able to earn that 1 lakh rupees. So neither I will be liquid nor I'll be solvent, because I'll not be able to pay that car loan of 5 lakh also. So that will be illiquidity and insolvency. Jet Airways in 2019 and right now also many airlines are having liquidity issues. Because of COVID-19, the number of the flights which are operating have considerably gone down, because tourism has taken a hit, business has taken a hit. So business travel and pleasure travel is not happening so much. So many airlines are not able to generate a revenue during this period of time, and hence they are not in a position to pay salary to their employees. They're not able to pay the hangar charges, the airport ka jo charges hota hai, they're not able to pay that. They're not able to pay to the suppliers for maintenance of aircraft, etc. They are not able to pay that. But this COVID-19 is not going to be, I hope, I mean, I'm very optimistic. This COVID-19 is not going to be leaving beyond 2021, hopefully. So in that case, whatever is the problem faced by the airline industry is not a long-term problem, it's a short-term problem. तो ये short-term period में flights का frequency कम हुआ है, तो उनका income कम हुआ है, and hence they are unable to pay to their employees, to their suppliers, to the airport charges, etc. They're not able to pay that, and hence they are having liquidity issues. Like me in the hospital for 6 months, but ये guarantee कि 6 महीने के बाद I'll be back. With same voice, I'll be able to take lecture. Similarly, after COVID-19 goes away, all the flights will be flying normally, and then they will be able to generate sufficient profit. With the help of that, they'll be able to survive in the long term. So this airline crisis right now, or for that matter, the movie theaters ka crisis right now is a liquidity crisis. It's not a solvency crisis. Because once COVID-19 is gone, we will go to theaters and watch the movie. Maybe even twice a day we'll go to theaters and watch a movie. There are movie freaks like me who go to movie and watch 2 movies at the same time, back to back. So after COVID-19 goes away, the movie theaters will be able to sell the popcorns for 200 rupees, samosas for 250 rupees, Coke for 100 rupees. They'll be able to generate sufficient cash. With the help of it, they'll be able to survive easily for long term. But right now, no one is going to theaters. And that's the reason right now, and there are no movies also in the theaters right now. That's the reason the movie theater owners are having a liquidity issues. Okay. Short-term issues which could be solved if they are given some liquidity support. So these theater owners, these airline companies go to the bank, go to the government and ask for a relief package. So what Nirmala Sitharaman offered in the month of April was a liquidity stimulus package. It wasn't a solvency stimulus package. It was a liquidity stimulus package. It was a short-term package. Okay, so banks may grant them some short-term loans. Government may offer them some tax subsidies or something like that, with the help of which they will be able to come over these short-term problems. And the long-term may, once the COVID-19 goes away, they'll be able to back in track. Okay. Coming back, short-term loan, if you're able to pay, you're liquid. Long-term loan, if you are able to pay, you are solvent. Short-term loan, if you are not able to pay, you are illiquid. Long-term loan, if you are not able to pay, you are insolvent. Any doubts before I proceed? In this example, let me just ask question. Is it clear, not clear? The example about liquidity and solvency, which I give. You might be seeing a poll on your screen. Please answer it. If it is not clear, just raise hand, please. All right, everyone has marked yes, so good. I'm happy about it. All right, so I'll go back to the income statement. So this was a short and sweet balance sheet where assets of 10,000 will be equal to loan of 8,000 plus equity. This is called as investors' equity of 2,000. So assets 10,000, loan 8,000, and equity 2000. So basically they balance each other, and as a reason this sheet is called as balance sheet. 10,000 on the left hand side is equal to 8,000 plus 2,000 on the right hand side. So both side balances, and as a reason it's called as balance sheet. Now I am going back to the income statement. You'll get to know why I'm going back to this income statement. जहाँ पे profit था 1800 का, 3000 जो profit था उसमें से 40% government took away, 60% is left with us. So 3000 का 60%, 1800 is left with us. So now let's see ये जो profit है, इसको I am gonna look at it from two perspectives. This profit is also called as your net income, also called as your net profit. Okay, this I am going to look at from two views. One, ये profit पूरा का पूरा belong करता है shareholders को. This belongs to the company, and company is ultimately owned by shareholders. So this profit completely belongs to the shareholders. तो shareholders ने ये company में 2000 रुपया invest किया था. Look at it. Shareholders ने ये company में 2000 रुपया invest किया था. So on 2000 rupees of investment, they got a profit of 1800. So the return on investment would be, they invested 2000 and they got a profit of 1800. So 1800 upon 2000, the return on investment would be 90%. Okay, I repeat, they invested 2000 rupees. The equity investors invested 2000 rupees in this company, and they got a profit of 1800. I mean, company got a profit of 1800, but company is owned by investors. So indirectly, I can say investors got a profit of 1800. It's simply investors' company, which is managed by the management. Company is not owned by management. Company is owned by investors. It's simply operated by, managed by the management. तो जो 1800 का profit है, वो profit is investors' profit. So investors invested 2000, got a profit of 1800. So their return on investment is 90%, which in accounts it's called as ROE, return on equity. Equity holders ने invest किया था 2000 और उनको मिला, I mean मिला नहीं है, company ने profit earn किया है 1800 का. So that is ROE of 90%, return on equity of 90%. Okay. Why did I say मिला नहीं है? क्योंकि ये जो profit है वो पूरा का पूरा शायद dividend करके company may not declare it. Out of this 1800 profit, company may keep some amount, and remaining amount they will declare as dividend. The company may keep some amount out of this 1800 profit. Company may keep some amount, and then they declare the remaining amount as dividend. Now let me ask you the question ki why this amount is kept by the company? Why this amount is reserved by the company? Reserved or retained by the company? Okay, I would want answers from you. Why company doesn't declare पूरा का पूरा 1800 profit करने में, dividend declare करने में? What is the harm? Why does the company retain some amount? Just raise hand, please. Yes, Vignesh.
Sir, to pay their current liabilities.
Sorry.
So the company retains the amount to pay their current liabilities.
But wouldn't that be payable from the like expense में तो already आ चुका होगा ना? So there could be some liabilities which need not be recorded in the expense. This is cost of unsold goods is not there in the expense, which is fine. So for payment of that, yes, I take your answer, because यहाँ पे हमने सिर्फ cost of goods sold consider किया. What about cost of unsold goods? उसको pay करने के लिए कुछ profit बाजू में रखना पड़ेगा. Similarly, यहाँ पे हमने सिर्फ interest consider किया है. So to pay the principal, we have to keep certain profit aside. So logically हमने principal को consider नहीं किया था, because principal is not a cost. But still, like Jiten said, principal तो हमें pay करना ही है, तो उसके लिए we have to keep certain profit aside. Cost of goods sold consider किया, cost of unsold goods we didn't consider, so उसके लिए we have to pay. So Vignesh is right with that. Any other answer? Why does company have to retain some part of the profit? Yes, Neil.
Hello.
Yeah, Neil.
Expansion of business.
Can you elaborate that expansion?
Maybe company can invest somewhere else and expand their business.
Okay, so basically, okay, perfect, Neil. Basically, a company which maintains the same level of sales is disliked by investors. Investors would want company to have sales growth, profit growth. तो अगर कंपनी को सेल्स ग्रो करना है तो ऐसे हवे से ग्रो नहीं होगा. फॉर सेल्स ग्रोथ कंपनी शुड सेल मोर, देन ओनली देयर विल बी सेल्स ग्रोथ. For selling more, company should produce more. अगर sales increase करना है तो obviously we have to sell more Parle-G biscuits. This time we sold 800, next time we have to sell more. For sales growth, we have to sell more, and for selling more, we have to produce more. And to produce more, we need more machines. We need more raw material. So to buy those machines and buy those raw materials, we need money. And hence certain part of the profit is retained to buy those machines and to buy those raw materials, with the help of which production could increase, sales quantity could increase, and hence sales could increase. So many investors would want the profit of their companies to increase, sales should increase. Sales or profit increase होने के लिए obviously production should increase, but production कैसे increase होगा? For increase of production, you need more machines and you need more raw material. And to increase, to have more machines and to have more raw materials, you need money. Machines or raw material free में नहीं आता, so you have to purchase that. So for purchasing more machines and more raw materials, you reserve certain part of the profit, you retain certain part of the profit. With that retained profit, you buy more machines, you buy more raw materials. With that, you increase the production. With that, you increase the sales. With that, you'll be able to have more sales and more profit. Okay. So good, Neil. So this part of the profit, which is retained, that's called as RR, retention ratio. And that part of the profit which is being paid out is called as payout ratio. So for example, agar company decide karte hai ki we will retain 80%, so retention ratio would be 80% and the payout ratio would be 20%. So 20% of 1800 would be paid out. So dividend would be 360. All right, I repeat, 1800 profit, usme se 80% is being retained for payment of cost of unsold goods, for the payment of the principal. For that purpose, it's being retained, as well as it's retained for buying new machines and buying new raw materials. For that reason, it's being retained, and the remaining 20% is being paid out. So 1800 ka 20% which is being paid out, that's 360, becomes your dividend. So why did I say that they don't get 1800? Because truly they don't get 1800. Company has earned 1800, but truly they're getting only 360. But in the calculation of ROE, we still focus on 1800 divided by their investment, which was 2000. So we still consider 1800 and we divide it by their investment of 2000. We still consider 1800. Reason is, ये जो 80%, 1800 का 80% जो retain हुआ है, that still belongs to shareholders. Although it is not being paid out to them, although it is being still held in the company, shareholders have a right on that. This particular money which is being retained in the company is belonging to shareholders. That belongs to shareholders. So basically, if I go to the balance sheet, the balance sheet में जो 2000 rupees है, that 2000 rupees has been externally brought in by the shareholders. So this is called as external money, which has been brought by the shareholders. But apart from that, ये जो internally profit generate किया था, जिसका 80% retained हुआ है, that 1800 का 80% which has been retained, let me calculate that. 1800 multiplied by 80%, which has been retained, which is 1440 का profit which has been retained ये belong करता है shareholders को, and hence on the balance sheet, on the equity side, we will also write 1440 and we will call it as internal equity. Internal equity, which is not brought by the investors from their own pocket, but ये जो 2000 रुपया कंपनी में उन्होंने डाला था, उससे जो प्रॉफिट जनरेट हुआ, उसी का एक पार्ट कंपनी ने रिजर्व करके रखा है, रिटेन करके रखा है. तो ये उन्हीं का प्रॉफिट है, ये उन्हीं का पैसा है. ओके, सो दिस इज कॉल्ड एज रिटेन्ड प्रॉफिट या रिटेन्ड अर्निंग्स. दिस कॉल्ड एज रिटेन्ड प्रॉफिट या रिटेन अर्निंग्स. ओके, तो हाउ द बैलेंस शीट विल बैलेंस, आई विल टॉक अबाउट दैट इन द नेक्स्ट लेक्चर. अभी के लिए इतना काफी है. So how the balance sheet will balance because of this 1440, how the balance sheet will balance, I'll talk about that in the next lecture. So right now I'm holding it back, but I'm just concluding it with this three things. One is ROE, return on equity. Still the numerator is 1800 and the denominator is the investments brought by the shareholders, which was this 2000. So 1800 upon 2000, ROE is 90%. But truly ये पूरा का पूरा 1800 उनको डिविडेंड नहीं मिल रहा है, डिविडेंड सिर्फ मिल रहा है 360 का. But still this 1440 which they are not receiving, still it belongs to them only. So this 1440 belongs to the shareholders, and hence it is being put under the shareholders equity. And that is called as retained earnings or internally generated profit. Okay. So with this addition, obviously the equity will become 3440. It's not no more now 2000. It becomes 3440. So how the balance sheet will balance because of that, we'll discuss that in the next lecture. Right now, we don't have a time right now. How much time? 5:45. So I have a lecture at 6 o'clock with the other batch. So right now I'll have to forcefully stop it. But how the balance sheet will match because of that, we'll discuss that in the coming lecture. All right, Dave, you wanted to ask something? Yes, Dave, you wanted to ask something? Okay, it was by mistake, no problem. All right, so I'll let you know when I'm going to conduct that next lecture. Actually, it was the first session was supposed to happen yesterday, and second session was supposed to happen today, and foundation to account was supposed to get over today, but unfortunately we couldn't get it done. So balance sheet kaise balance hoga? It's a very important part which you should know it. That I will not be able to explain today because of short of time. So I will conduct this maybe on 14th of March. How many of you don't have a holiday on 14th of March? Reason, how many of you don't have a holiday on 14th of March? All right, around 3-4 of you don't have a holiday on 14th of March. Sorry, 14th of Jan. Sorry, 14th of Jan. Sorry, 14th of Jan. Sorry, not 14th of March. 14th of Jan. Makar Sankranti in Maharashtra, Onam in South India, Lohri in North India. How many of you don't have a holiday for Lohri or Onam or Makar Sankranti? Around 6 or 7 of you. So maybe I'll conduct it like on the same day, 14th of Jan only, but something like 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. after office hours. I know Jiten would have an issue because he's in Singapore and Singapore is 2.5 hours ahead of us, but it will be something like 9:30 p.m. in Singapore, Jiten. So I think you wouldn't have an issue. So I think I will conduct it something like 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. That would work even for working guys, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. So on 14th of Jan, I'll conduct at 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. the second session of Foundation to Accounts. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Take care. I'll see you on 14th of March. That is Thursday. Take care till then. Take care. Bye-bye.